Okay, hello students. This is new for me to do it this way. Normally I'm sitting in front of you or standing in front of you in a classroom, but this is a little bit different. Get to be on my farm, and of course some of you are in animal science and plant science. We'll actually get to be around the animals today as a result of this. Of course, you've heard me say many times, agriculture is economic biology. So our lesson today is kind of going to be a little bit about, of course, mainly animals and specifically cattle, but the science and the economics that goes into cattle and why are some worth more than others. As you can see here, we're right next to a bunch of cattle. If anything jumps out at you, you got one that is kind of a funny color that some people call blue, although it's not blue, is it? It's kind of a gray or smoky color. And then we got a red one and a black and white spotted one, which is not a dairy cow, but looks like the Holstein dairy cattle, which Chick-fil-A use for their advertisements, and other companies do too. Madison Avenue in New York City, where the advertising agencies are, will tell us that when you say the word cow to the average American, the black and white spotted dairy cow is what comes to mind, not beef cattle. These are beef cattle, and even though that one looks like a dairy cow, she is a beef cow. Now, you notice that I don't have a shock stick or a whip or even a stick because these animals are very gentle. And cattle are generally calm animals. They're not mean, and sometimes they've been treated mean. They don't act good toward humans, but most of the time they're not. Of course, I got a bucket of feed in my hand. That's why they gathered around. Okay, it's not sweet feed. It's feed. It's got a little bit of shell corn and some cottonseed meal and some other stuff in it, but it doesn't have any molasses. If it was, they'd be trying to eat it out of the bucket. I'm gonna give it to them and let y'all watch it. You want to see what the feed looks like? There it is. Okay. I also want to say I want to thank my son Luke for doing the filming today. This animal right here, obviously he's red, which means he could be several different breeds. His grandmother was red. His mother was a bluish color like this, and his dad was black. But his grandmother was red, and that's where that came from. His grandmother got the red color from being a Santa Gertrudis cow, and the red in the Santa Gertrudis comes from a breed of Shorthorn. As we go on around there, you see a black cow, which is mostly Angus, and that's her calf right here. This black one is her calf. And you notice they're pretty gentle. Okay, that's her first calf. Okay, now if you wonder what are these animals worth and what are they good for, the black one and the red one, the little black one, the calf, they're both bulls. They're going to get hauled to the sale pretty soon. They'll be bought not to be bulls most likely, but to be where they will probably be steered, and then they will be put on grass and get to where they weigh 800 or 900 pounds on grass, and then they'll get put on a feedlot, and they'll bring pretty good at the sale in the $1.25 to $1.50 pound range per pound. So they'll do okay. If we walk on around here, we'll take a look. The black cow and calf are up here just so that they can get fattened up a little bit before the calf goes to the sale. You notice that underneath the cows, you see udders. And this is her first calf. So she's kind of small framed, and she doesn't have a very big udder even though she's nursing a calf, if you'll notice there. Okay, and sometimes we use slang language, cattlemen do, and they don't say udder, which is the proper word, they'll say bag. Okay, and on her bag or udder, she has 4 teats. Okay, now if you come over here and look at this one, you'll notice this old blue cow here, she has a massive udder, and the reason being she's fixing to have a baby calf within the next day or two. You also notice this tissue right here under her tail is very swollen compared to that one. Okay, which is another indication that a calf is coming and coming really, really soon. Now, if you'll notice, she has a terrible hoof problem with her bottom left hoof. That's why she was in the pen to begin with. Unfortunately, that's just something that happens with cattle. and she was out in the pasture. She was already nursing last year's calf, and she hurt her foot, got something wrong with it, and we got her into the pen as soon as we could. She'd already lost a lot of weight, and she's got to live high on the hog here for the last few months because she's had all the water she wanted close by, food brought to her every day, and around the way over there she's got a nice hay bale to eat on, and she's been taken very well good care of. And when I noticed she was getting close to have a calf, I decided I'd keep her a little bit longer and let her have one more baby, and then she'll get fed good and she'll get sold here in a few months. And this black cow, you can't tell it, but black and white spotted cow, she's got a bad foot too, and which is why she's in the pen. Again, so she doesn't have to walk far, doesn't have to walk on bad ground up and down hills to get feed and water. Now, this old cow here, she is very old, and it's hard to tell, but she's very old, and her use as a cow is really about over with. She's so old that all she's good for is hamburger meat, and another term, it's not real pleasant, but gut meat, which is where hot dogs and bologna and potted meat and several other things that are processed meat. And hamburger meat is not processed meat. Hamburger meat is just ground meat. And when an animal gets old, they get a little tough. The meat does. After the animal gets about 2 years old, they get so tough you can't eat them in steaks anymore. They have to be ground up into hamburger meat. So believe it or not, the little calves here, they'll bring more at the sale than these cows will, even though the cows are so big. But the potential for the calves is that they'll give steaks. You'll be able to get steaks out of them because they'll be so young when they're processed that their meat will be so much more valuable. But this old gal here, all she's good for is hamburger meat. Now, I'm gonna give them a little more feed close by. As you can see, they're very gentle and they're certainly not mistreated. People that would mistreat their animals, also the people that probably don't make any money raising them, because animals don't respond very well at all to being mistreated. You got to treat them right. Again, the little red calf and the little black calf, they are of such a breed that when they're at the sale, the guy that would buy them for the beef packing plant would know that there's a pretty good chance they would grade out high. What that means is they would be either choice beef or quite possibly even prime. Only about 2% of all the beef animals killed wind up being graded as prime. That's why it's so very expensive. If you want to see what expensive steak is, there is a restaurant in Chattanooga called, I believe it's Bridgman's Chop House, which is in a hotel in downtown Chattanooga. And the most expensive steak they have on the menu is $110. And they have several that are 65 or 70 bucks. So, like I said, this animal right here, no longer any good for steaks, just hamburger meat. Her days of having babies have gone. She's too old to have any more. And this one's getting to have one more, and then we're putting her on the road. This one, no, she's just had one baby, and that's here. And she has a lot of value still as a cow because she's so young, and of the kind of breed that she is. She's in good shape to be nursing a baby, and she'll probably, if she can live to be as old as these two, I mean, she'll probably have about 10 more babies before she has to take the ride to town on the trailer to get hauled to the stockyard, and then eventually to a place to let them feed her for a few weeks and make sure she doesn't have any chemicals in her body that she's not supposed to have, and then she'll get processed. Okay, and as you know, that's just probably what happens to animals. Okay, as much as I treat them like pets, they're not pets. They're made for human consumption, and we use the animals, of course, to eat, but we also use their hides, and it's a premium to have leather seats in most cars. Most of that leather is cattle leather, and cattle leather is preferred over hog leather and other kinds just because it's so big and they can do more things with it. Alrighty, well, I hope you've enjoyed this first lesson today on YouTube. If any of you have any questions or problems, you can call me. My email address at the school is Greg Greg Martin, Martin, at dadecs.org. I'd love to hear from you. See you later. Goodbye.